Welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how you can use MDT without having to create a Windows domain. To use MDT on a domainless network, you need to edit our Bootstrap.ini file. On one of my previous tutorials on MDT, I went over configuration options for custom settings and Bootstrap.ini files. If you need more in-depth information on MDT INI files, please watch that tutorial. I have Windows Server 2022 here. Let's open our MDT workbench. I'm going into the start menu and I'm going to type workbench, and here's my deployment workbench, and I'm going to open that console. On my deployment workbench console, on the left hand side, I see my MDT deployment share I created in my previous tutorial, as well as all the configuration options I have done under operating systems, packages or task sequence, etc. etc. What you need to do first is to select your MDT deployment share which you would like to use on a domainless network. Then right click, select properties, and in here we will go to the rules tab up here, and you can see our custom settings.ini file display in this window. Recall what you see under the rules from my previous tutorial. Recall that this is basically what we have on the custom settings.ini file. Also recall from my previous tutorial that the Bootstrap.ini file loads first or prior to the custom settings.ini file. So in order for me to use this MDT deployment share, I need to edit the Bootstrap.ini file, not the custom setting.ini file. What I'm going to do is to click on this button, edit Bootstrap.ini files. Again, the reason why I'm doing this, because I need to load this configuration option prior to the custom settings.ini file. This is the very first thing that's going to get loaded. And under default options down here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to enter user domain, and I'm going to equate that to a single dot. So if your MDT deployment share is located in a domainless server, by editing your Bootstrap.ini file, this one, and then entering user domain equal to dot, what we basically doing here is like saying we're gonna enter like this. Sorry, like this. So it's just basically saying there is no domain. So if you have a domain connected computer and you want to enter a local admin, for example, we do this, right? So on, right? So that's the same idea, but except instead of putting a backslash or anything like that, you're simply gonna put a dot. So for user domain, we're gonna put a dot in here, and then we're gonna save this file. And the last thing we need to do is to close this window by clicking OK, and then right click on my MDT deployment share, select update deployment share, because remember, anytime you change any configuration options in properties here, we need to make sure that you right click on your deployment share and select update deployment share. I'm going to leave it as optimize the boot image updating process. Then we're gonna go click next, next, and it's gonna take a few seconds. Once that update has been completed and you have a success message up here, you can click finish, and now this change that we made under properties of our deployment share under rules, Bootstrap.ini, this change we made basically make this MDT deployment share available to non-domain users. So without a domain name, now this deployment share can be used to deploy your Windows operating systems. It's a very simple line. It's a very easy to do, and this is how you can use your MDT deployment shares without a Microsoft Windows domain. Keep in mind, this is not the usual way of doing things in large companies and corporations, as almost always with Windows servers, we do create domains. Even this lab environment Windows server machine, I have a domain created, which is sanuja.local, this domain right here. So this is only maybe used in situations where you have a deployment share for your lab environment, for example, your school projects, and where you need to install, you need to demonstrate that you can use your deployment share to your instructors or professors. And this is how you do it. It's a simple user domain with a dot on it. Now, obviously, you can make this thing forced to our whatever the domain you like. If you want to do that, you're simply gonna do sanuja.local. So you're gonna put whatever the domain you would like to add here under the Bootstrap.ini file. Instead of dot, you're gonna simply enter your domain name. You can do the domain itself. You can do that as well if you want to explicitly define that domain in the Bootstrap.ini file. But today the emphasis, the highlight is how to do this without having to build a domain, without having to have a domain. But if you want to have a domain, instead of putting the dot, simply put your domain name. So in this case, it's going to be sanuja.local, and we can do save here. Again, the Bootstrap.ini file get loaded prior to custom settings.ini files. So that's why we are editing the Bootstrap.ini file. And again, anytime you edit this Bootstrap.ini file, you edit it and then save it and click OK. Go back to your MDT deployment share, right click. Don't forget to update your deployment share. I typically keep it on the optimize. You can use the compress one as well. And then click next, next. And once this thing get updated, you will have that newly updated file. This is just a little bit of extra information for today's tutorial. But what you really need to understand here is you can use Microsoft MDT on a Windows server without a domain that allow you to connect to outside, to get your outside clients to have the MDT access, even though the client not gonna be part of your domain or part of the network. So again, without the domain have been there, you still can do it, and that's how you do it with Microsoft MDT deployment workbench. That's everything for today. If you have any questions or concerns regarding what I covered, feel free to leave a comment below. Don't forget to thumbs up this video and subscribe to my channel. If you would like to learn more about MDT, there have been comprehensive tutorials published on my YouTube channel. You can go ahead and check it out, and I will leave the links in the description. And if you want to learn about Microsoft Windows Server administration or Cisco systems, etc., feel free to also check my Cisco tutorials, Microsoft tutorials, etc. on my YouTube channel. Until next time, thank you so much.